Thank you for choosing to watch the Watchman News Headlines video. Our full episodes can now be seen over at Patreon with much more added content for just $2 a month. Link is in the description. If you cannot afford $2 a month, please consider using our Amazon affiliate link, purchasing from our Teespring store, or making a PayPal donation. All links are below. In order for us to grow, we have to make changes to enable it. Our time is valuable, and we have been one of the very few news sources actually dedicated to bringing you honest, hard-hitting, actionable news and information. Plus, for your $2 a month, you do not have to hear me blabber about these links. It's a win for us all.
Bullshit.
Thank you. Good evening, Watchmen and Watchwomen of YouTube. So I welcome you to our headlines episode. Tonight we talked about COVID-19. I know that's a highly over-talked about subject right now, but we approached it from a rather different angle and an informed angle. And we talked about many different things in and around COVID-19, whether it be the tyranny involved with it, whether it be the condition of the disease, whatever you want to call it, whether it be the vaccines or, as I call them, antidotes or whatever. I believe a very good show. So if you're interested, we've got some really awesome content over there on Patreon. $2 a month. It's really not that much. Not that much. Patreon's a cool platform. There's a lot of cool channels out there to subscribe to, not just us. So I believe that we certainly bring our $2 a month worth to the table. And, man, we're just getting started. We are just getting started. So it's only the 9th, so you're not going to miss out on a whole lot if you go over there and get subscribed. Every day that goes past is another day lost for that month. So I highly recommend you go over there, hop on board, and start enjoying the previous content and, of course, the current and upcoming content. So enough with the Patreon spamming. You're here for headlines. Let's do some headlines. All right, nothing from last night to report to you. All the links that I put out were from this morning, so we will start with that. Family of 20-year-old who committed suicide says Robin Hood caused his death with reckless tactics that prey on the inexperienced. New Zealand cuts off all high-level political and military contacts with Myanmar as tens of thousands protest military coup. Jailed pedo pop star Gary Glitter gets COVID vaccine as his prison guards wait their turn, the media says. American utilities are getting pummeled by unpaid bills. That is an issue. And you know what? There are a lot of people in this country that once the temperatures warm up to a certain degree, for a certain number of days, I know how Illinois does it. I'm sure other states, a lot of states probably follow suit. Their power is going to be shut off. They're going to be without power. Iran warns its peaceful nuclear program could change if it's backed into a corner. Something to keep an eye on. Like I say, that this isn't the normal rhetoric between Iran and the United States and Iran and other countries. This is not the normal rhetoric. This is definitely escalated, and I think they're pretty serious. Tesla more than doubles sales in China despite coronavirus crisis. 2 U.S. aircraft carriers conduct joint exercises in disputed South China Sea amid tensions with Beijing. Tampa mayor threatens maskless Super Bowl revelers with police and gets reminded of her own aversion to face coverings. Sputnik 5 prepares for EU launch. Russian COVID-19 vaccine clears first hurdle for rollout as regulator EMA accepts application. Bitcoin to top $100,000 this year as more companies adopt cryptocurrency, says investor Mike Novogratz. NHS staff turning down COVID-19 jab is disappointing, says the minister, amid hesitancy among Black, Filipino, and Bangladeshi workers. 1 in 4 Russians saw Navalny's explosive Putin's Palace documentary, but majority say it hasn't changed their view of the president, says a poll. And I know I'm an American, but it doesn't change my thoughts about him. I mean, he's the president of a big nation, right? If he's building himself a cool pad for when he's no longer president, really, who am I to say? Look at what we have here in the U.S. So, I mean, here in the U.S., one policy wouldn't be enough, right? UK minister admits one or two teething issues with EU on fishing post-Brexit as producers face massive export problems. COVID financial support skewed towards men, UK Parliament committee warns. Doctors found that police played role in death of French George Floyd, Adama Traore, says the media. And I probably got that name way wrong. Varan says third lockdown isn't inevitable despite spread of UK COVID variant, which represents almost 40% of the cases around Paris. The liberal world order is dead, but fallout from ill-fated visit of EU's Borrell to Moscow proves much of the West is still in denial. Iran begins immunization campaign with freshly delivered Russian Sputnik V vaccine. Oil touches 13-month high driven by global recovery hopes and OPEC Plus supply cuts. Central banks are transferring wealth from the average person to the likes of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. I want to back up a headline here. Here locally, this has been the talk of the town in our little local Facebook group, one of the groups anyway. And, everybody blames Biden. Everybody blames Biden for the rising gas prices. Biden doesn't control the gas prices. Central banks are transferring wealth from the average person to the likes of Bill Gates. Oh, I already said that headline. He doesn't. I mean, he will affect it over the long term, but the rise that we see now isn't because of Biden. It's because of this. Hong Kong leader announces dual nationality residents won't be eligible for consular protection. Twitter users cry foul as platform molds subscription service, but meltdown may be premature. Now, if they start charging, guess what? We won't be here. Iran's armed forces ready to deliver crushing response to any threat, says Tehran's top military commander. I just don't value Twitter. I put headlines out on Twitter, but that's it. I don't even read Twitter, right? I never pull open Twitter to read anybody, and I probably should, because that seems to be a good place to follow Roy Potter, but I don't. I'm really not interested. Iron Curtain on the airwaves. Latvia becomes latest country to censor Russian TV shows as Moscow diplomats slam the new crackdown. Russia's Kalashnikov gun factory launches digital rifle for hipsters, allowing high-tech hunters to live stream their kills. Not sure how good this idea is going to be in the long run. We'll see, but I have a feeling it's probably going to be used for much worse purposes. The interesting thing is I'm kind of wondering where they're going to live stream, because I know YouTube will not allow it. They will not allow you to handle a firearm on a live stream. So I know YouTube's out. WHO fact-finding mission, animal source of COVID-19 still unidentified. Wuhan laboratory leak is extremely unlikely. We talked about this on the Patreon episode. 8 million premature deaths in 2018 caused by fossil fuel pollution, a new study claims. New CDU leader and possible Merkel successor, Laschet, voices support for Ukraine joining EU, but says Nord Stream 2 must be completed. Health minister deplores regrettable practice as Paris hospital directors and family reportedly jump queue to get COVID jabs. So we had the other report of the folks that work in the health industry that are refusing it, and then this is report of people that are cheating to get theirs. UK threatens COVID-19 rule breakers with 10,000-pound fines and up to 10 years behind bars. If this isn't crazy, we talked about this on the Patreon episode. They're silencing women who don't agree with radical feminism. Author who claims book was censored by Facebook tells RT. Yeah, because that's not the agenda, you know. Brits shocked as minister admits UK hasn't confirmed a single hotel partnership for mandatory quarantine just days before it starts. Philippines to strengthen its naval presence in another sign of rising tensions in South China Sea. Azerbaijan approves trial of COVID-19 vaccine combination set to test Russia's Sputnik 5 together with AstraZeneca jab. Why not? Throw them all in there. Cocktail. UK could experience lockdowns for several years despite vaccination program, SAGE members warn. Jerusalem mayor threatens to ban unvaccinated Arabs from attending mosques. Mentioned that on the Patreon episode. What's in common between Barcelona's Camp Nou and Sagrada Familia? Both can be vaccination centers, local authorities suggest. And I probably got those words wrong. Kobe Bryant crash pilot. Kobe Bryant, the pilot. I don't know why they said crash pilot. But anyway, they're saying that he was disoriented in the clouds, the agency says. And back when this happened, as you may recall, you may not, I kind of looked at the information that was available, and it looked to me like the pilot was flying in conditions he absolutely should not have been flying in. But that was just on the information that I had at the time available. It looks like that the NTSB is coming to the same conclusion. COVID-19 patient capacity in Spain's intensive care wards nearing peak amid concerning pressure on hospitals, says the health minister. No good deed goes unpunished. Bafflement as LA Times pundit compares Trump-supporting neighbors who plowed her driveway to Nazis. Absolutely insane. Plastic surgeon offers to help woman who used Gorilla Glue on her hair as lawyer accuses the company of racism. This racism thing, really, can we stop? Can we stop? Okay? I don't care what your excuses are. I don't care that, you were confused because the glue that you normally use on your hair is okay to use on your hair. You know why? Because the glue that you use on your hair is in the health and beauty aisle. I do not believe that you picked up that container of Gorilla Glue in the health and beauty aisle. I believe that you probably went somewhere like the hardware section. What are you going to use next? 2-part epoxy? I mean, seriously, knock it off. Why didn't you use Elmer's glue, right? Elmer's glue. Why didn't you use that, right? Maybe you could have got a glue paste or, one of the glue sticks, how you could have ate it like when you were a kid. Right? I mean, really? Let's knock it off. Let's knock off our dumb shittedness, right? And blame others for it. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like those eyelashes. Ridiculous. Knock it off. It's not racist. It's not sexist. It's not. It's common sense. We need to knock it off. We all do stupid stuff. Every one of us does stupid stuff. On Facebook, I talked about when I was a kid. I'll share this story with you. When I was a kid, right, I did enjoy playing with fire. When I was a kid, I didn't wet the bed, but I did enjoy playing with fire. And I was in the bathroom. We had a really small bathroom. We had 2 bathrooms. I guess you would consider it 1.5 baths, right? And we had a small bathroom in the back, and that's where I was. And I had the cap of cologne on the sink, and I poured a little bit of cologne in the cap, and I lit it on fire, okay? And I let it burn, and it was starting to run out of cologne in the cap, and I thought, I'm going to add more cologne, right? I didn't put out the fire. I just went to add more cologne and caused a flash fire in the bathroom, just went whoosh, right? The whole bathroom, just one big flash, right? Now, it didn't catch anything on fire, but it singed the hell out of my hair and eyebrows and the hair on my arms and all of that, right? And so The funny part of the story is I cut my own hair. And so when Mom got home from work and asked why my hair, hey, I had to cut my own hair because I done went to the neighbors, right? I done went to the other neighbor kids, and none of them were dumb enough to cut my hair for me, so I had to do it myself. And I cut my own hair, and Mom asked when she got home why I cut my hair. Well, my excuse was I got hot. It was summer. You got to give me that. My excuse was that I got hot, so I cut my hair. Well, now, that didn't account for the singed hair on my arms and my singed eyebrows. So anyway, I mean, I was a kid. But you know what? My parents didn't sue Fabergé, right? Brut by Fabergé, right? My parents didn't sue Fabergé or Old Spice or whatever the hell it was. It wasn't Old Spice. I think it was Brut, to be honest. And my parents didn't sue them, right? And my parents, how did I get the Brut? Well, my aunt would commonly get me Brut for Christmas. So, my parents didn't sue my aunt or any, what? Yeah, even as a child, I tried lying my way out of why I cut my hair. I tried lying my way out of explaining what happened, but nobody was getting sued, right? And I was a kid, not an adult. I was a kid trying not to get his ass beat. Anyway, I don't think I didn't get my ass beat over that, but yeah, they weren't happy about the lies. U.S. poised for sanctions on Russia as Washington claims millions support jailed Navalny and hope for regime change in Moscow. Now, this is kind of a dangerous thing. I mean, to say that you hope for regime change and then to have the protests that they did, keep an eye on this. Joke Tesla crypto listed on cryptocurrency tracker after car maker gets bets big on Bitcoin. EU chief diplomat failed in his plan to publicly flog Russia during last week's trip to Moscow, says foreign minister. Striking French refinery workers and climate protesters clash with police outside office of oil giant Total. Indonesian seaman who escaped South Korean quarantine through a hole under the fence gets suspended sentence. Fear of COVID-19 no longer petrifies 1 in 3 Americans. I really don't know that it ever did petrify 1 in 3 Americans. But anyway, but indecision about how to move forward does. And I do believe that part of it's true. Paris to shut iconic bird market over animal welfare concerns. Fox News moves to dismiss Smartmatic $2.7 billion defamation suit, blasts as meritless. UAE becomes first Arab nation to successfully foray into deep space as Hope probe reaches Mars. Tehran summons Belgian envoy after Iranian diplomat jailed for 20 years on foiled bomb plot charges. Stop calling them the opposition. Russian foreign ministry says Navalny team are agents of NATO, not legitimate politicians. Amid internal meltdown at New York Times, 1619 Project creator doxes reporter for digging into her own racially charged tweets. Dogged virus hunters, Indian military deploys canines to sniff out COVID-positive troops. Let's see. Senator Graham says if Democrats call witnesses at Trump trial, we'll call Vice President Harris, Schumer, Booker, and others who used inflammatory language. EU is limiting access to top UK diplomat in Brussels, Frost claims amid bumpy British-European relations. QAnon shaman becomes MSM's latest dubious darling after doing CNN the favor of blaming his own crimes on Donald Trump. And I am starting more and more and more to suspect, I think that this was all a setup, but I'm starting more and more to suspect that this guy was a plant. And one of the reasons why I say that is, wasn't he the most spectacularly dressed person there. I mean, seriously, wasn't he the most noticeable person? Now, if you were going to plant somebody for doing something like that, right, to be able to flip the script, wouldn't you not make them the most noticeable person in the crowd? And was he not the most noticeable person in the crowd? I'm telling you, I think this was a setup from the get-go. Multiple people injured as shooting erupts at Minnesota health clinic. Gateway Pundit founder questions those saying 2020 election was secure while cracking down on sites like his in RT interview. 2 more indigenous COVID-19 variants identified in UK cities of Liverpool and Bristol, and we covered that during the Patreon episode. Trump may face eviction from Mar-a-Lago as officials consider bid by ex-president's neighbors. Yeah, apparently, and I think it was 1993 when Trump, I guess, bought the place, he made it to where people could only stay like a few weeks or something, that they couldn't stay there year-round, right? So he's actually getting bitten by his own rule. They're gentrifying RBG. Twitter loses it over pricey apartment building honoring Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Senate votes it is constitutional to try ex-President Trump, paving way for full impeachment trial. Biden throws weight behind Newsom as campaign to recall California governor says it nears 1.5 million signatures needed to trigger the vote. Just like a flu shot, people may need to take COVID-19 vaccine annually for the next several years, says Johnson & Johnson CEO. We talked about that. Multiple people shot at Minnesota clinic, 1 arrested. We actually did talk about that, even though it wasn't COVID related. I did talk about that. Breast milk is now human milk. UK Hospital Trust adopts gender-neutral language in maternity unit to fight health inequality. That's right. It's no longer breast milk. It's human milk because people are stupid. DOJ confirms Biden will continue push for Assange's extradition as human rights group calls to drop case before U.S. appeal deadline. Insane. Absolutely insane. And that obviously wasn't put out yet. That was up in the notification, so I will get that headline put out. Anyway, that is the headlines for this evening. I hope everybody has a good night. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.